Alfonso's here, the godfather of the game. Many years of wisdom, remember his name. Speakers on stage, they'll drop the keys. Unlock your power and seize the breeze.
I'm here with Alfonso Quadra, the man that doesn't need any introduction, but he has such a powerful story that I'm going to actually ask him to elaborate on his story for everybody who's listening.
Well, thank you for having me, brother.
No
Good to
problem.
good to be here. And I'm trying to figure out why the camera keeps moving.
It,
I'm trying to do this, and then it keeps moving on me.
it wants that sexy wealth genius signed in there, so
But
it's
you see how it
got
moves
to go
up.
back.
See how it moves up. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. But
It's no stress. You bring so much value. Like I said, I did one of your boot camps. You bring so much value. I don't think that they're going to be taking it all in. They're not even going to be
well,
worried
I don't
about
want
what
to
the
be like
camera's
this.
saying.
All right.
Yeah.
But just to give you the cliff notes, all right. So I came to Canada as a landing refugee from El Salvador slash Central America because I was actually in two wars by the age of 9. But I came here as a refugee. My mom had $30 in her purse,
Crazy.
and we had two pieces of luggage, and that's it. That was our whole entire life. We grew up. Well, I grew up on social housing, government, food banks and, government housing. And when I was 12 years old, my biggest goal was to start a gang.
Okay.
And, that's kind of, that gives you an idea of the people that I was surrounding myself with,
Yep.
negative people. And just was running with the wrong crowd. Ultimately, I ended up leaving school, leaving home at 15 years old, living on the streets. And I had a life-changing moment at 17 when I became a dad.
Yeah.
Gave me a different perspective, gave me a purpose, and I ended up starting my first business in 1995 as a result of being a teenage parent. It was a clothing business that ultimately grew to a pretty big business. By the time I was 21, that business was all across Canada, and I was, a full-fledged entrepreneur. And what ended up happening was that my industry got hit, and I realized that, maybe I made some mistakes along the way. Realized that I had no financial literacy. Even
Yep.
though I was making lots of money, I was making lots of mistakes because I would be spending the money. So the money would just disappear out of my hands. And so I knew I needed some education. So around 23, 24, I started to educate myself on finances. I started to read biographies, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all those books. And I realized that, hey, even though I had more of an industrious mind, I was an entrepreneur, but I had no financial literacy. So I went about educating myself and learning that, the wealthiest people in the world, the common thread amongst all of them is that they have hard assets, and the major asset that the majority of the wealthiest people invest in is real estate.
Mhm.
But if you notice, they're not investing into duplexes or triplexes. They're investing into larger assets, apartment buildings. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of what led me uh, down the path of investing in real estate, but primarily in multifamily because that's the space I'm in. And so that was in my early 20s. And fast forward to where we are to now. Now we have a multi-million dollar portfolio, um, real estate all across Canada and the US. We started a real estate fund, so we have our own REIT, which we're going to grow to $1 billion portfolio.
Okay.
And 7,500 doors is kind of the goal with our real estate investment trust. And about 18 years ago, I was financially free, so I didn't have to work another day in my life. And I
Mhm.
made a decision that I wanted to help people. I wanted to help and inspire people to build their own financial freedom and their own time freedom. And that's where I started coaching and mentoring and teaching people how to invest. And people loved it. I've had lots of students, thousands of students. I've created thousands of millionaires all across Canada. And that's why they call me the godfather of real estate, because I've been around a while, right?
Yeah.
And my students are now teaching. So if you can if you can figure that out, and so I've been doing this for a long time, teaching people how to become wealthy in real estate, doing
Mhm.
things that are very logical and reasonable, right? And we're talking about multifamily, we're talking about long-term wealth. We don't teach get rich quick. We talk about equity partnerships. We don't do any high interest loans. We don't do anything uh, like risky and irresponsible.
Yep.
And so, we've had a longevity of teaching and investments. I've seen multiple, market cycles. And that's why I'm so excited about where we are right now, is because we are now entering this, recovery cycle, or you could say a downturn or economic uncertainty,
Yep.
where there's so much opportunity, and you gotta have the right strategy to move forward. And for us, we're gonna be moving forward in a very big way. And so that's the story in a nutshell.
I love it. I think you have probably one of the most powerful stories in real estate. Like I said, I did the 3D 3-day boot camp out in Ottawa. I think we were talking beforehand how, you know, years of self-development, personal education, University of YouTube,
Yeah.
Spotify, books. Um, I think all of that was covered in the course of that 3 days. So I think that what you guys are doing are amazing, and you have a product that, is exactly what you're preaching, right?
Yeah, so for me, it was very important that I could give people tangibles, things that um, they can come away from my boot camp and reflecting on. And it's really an intensive event, like 9 to 5, for 3 days. You're there. You're immersed in the education. I don't have multiple speakers. It's just me. I'm speaking for the entire time.
I was
And
just grateful there was a Starbucks there so I can go get an egg.
get fired up. You get
Yeah.
fired up. You need your caffeine. And so for in terms of the events that I used to go to when I before I started in this industry, we're talking about 25, 26 years ago. I found that every time I went to events, there was a lot of meat missing, and
Hmm.
I couldn't figure out why until I got into the industry, and I discovered that some of these people that are teaching are not really doing the thing that they're teaching about.
Yep.
And this is why there's a lot of gaps, because they're just regurgitating information. And so, you know, not only my teaching, I'm actually a real estate investor that is doing this in a very big way. And I'm actually a real estate investor trying to be a speaker trainer versus people that are speaker trainers trying to be real estate investors.
I love
And
it.
so I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, like I said, it was a phenomenal event. I was dialed in the whole time, and I left there being like, "Let's go do a deal." That's I was motivated. I didn't, it was the first time I really felt that fire under me where I was like, you know, um, I think that the second day or the third day, you said, go online, go find a deal, bring it in.
Mm.
Right. So I think that was great. Um, so with a real estate investor that's starting off nowadays, I mean, with there's so much knowledge and everything else, like we're saying, and I think now too, there probably more than even before, that there's so many people who has never invested before, doesn't really know, they're just regurgitating what they've got off YouTube, or some coach who doesn't have any assets or doesn't really hasn't really executed on anything. Where would they start in today's world?
Yeah, so today's world, it's so dangerous because you have so much information out there, and people don't know what to listen to, right?
Yeah.
For example, you got ChatGPT, right? And this is kind of where everybody's go to.
Yep.
And I challenge ChatGPT sometimes because the information, because I want to know what's going on. So I'll ask questions
Hmm.
uh, on information that I already know, and
It's not always right.
it's not correct.
Yeah.
It's not correct. Well, first of all, let's start with all the misinformation that exists out there, right,
Hmm.
on the internet. And so if there's all this misinformation, and if you ask a very specific real estate related question about investing, you're gonna get you're gonna get a summary of all of the misinformation that's out there.
Good point.
And not all of it is correct. And so that leads to making big mistakes, and probably it's gonna do more damage than good if someone's trying to build a portfolio or try to build financial freedom or trying to do something with, some of their last of their savings or what have you. And so the very first thing that someone needs to do is get the education.
Mhm.
ChatGPT, YouTube, all these places are a great place to get information. But you have to go somewhere and learn from someone that is actually doing what they're saying they're doing. You got
Yeah,
to learn from someone that actually is doing what they're teaching, because that's how you're going to get the firsthand information. And so, and I also would challenge people to vet the people that they're learning from, to make sure that they're actually doing the thing that they're saying they're doing.
yep,
Not to be negative, but it is a big industry with a lot of people that sometimes can't make it in the real estate field, and they start doing programs. And you know I was watching this guy. I'm trying to remember his name. Is it Hermosi?
Alex Hormozy.
Alex Hermosi. He put out this massive challenge, a playbook or whatever. So he's convincing all these people to become coaches.
Hmm.
And so, how can everybody be a coach? They go to ChatGPT, they go to YouTube, and they put together a course, and then they're selling it to people, which is fine. I mean, I'm not against uh, businesses and entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
but the problem in this industry is that there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of people that are not qualified to be teaching and training other people on how to invest their money.
100%.
And that's kind of the issue that I have with the industry at the moment, where you know there's a lot of people. I mean, uh, and I love Alex. What is it, Alex Hermosi?
Yep.
Her name to say Hermosi.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I love what he's doing, right? He's
Yeah.
doing it, but imagine he has a really good business, right?
Hmm.
And he's getting everybody to become coaches and trainers and all that stuff, which is great. And so I would just make sure you educate the consumer on where they get their education from. Doesn't have to be from me,
Hmm.
but they need to get educated first. That's the first thing that you got to do, because you don't want to go out there and make massive mistakes, and then all of a sudden regret getting into real estate, because real estate is beautiful. And especially where we are right now in the industry, there's so much opportunity, there's so much out there right now for people to really build significant wealth.
Hmm.
Currently, we are going through the biggest wealth transfer in human history. We're talking about $124 trillion in assets are going to change hands in the upcoming years. So if you know what to do and how to do it, and you have the right guidance and mentorship behind you, and you're following the
Just
right person, or the right education, you can be on the right side of that wealth transfer. My name is Alfonso Cuadra. They call me the godfather of real estate. I've been in business for over 30 years, in real estate over 26 years. I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And now I'm going across North America, talking to people and signing checks. I'm looking for deals because I'm building $1 billion portfolio. Is that you? Let me make an offer you can't refuse. We just don't have enough information to make this decision. There's too many unknowns. And for that reason, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
yeah.
And so, what should someone do first? I would say get educated, and then stick to someone that they like, and that is ethical, and that does what they're saying they're doing, and follow that person until success. Don't get distracted. Oh, what about this There's a lot of conflicting things out there,
Hmm.
that if people start following too many people, all of a sudden they didn't follow anybody, they didn't do anything, right?
Yep.
It's going to be paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
So I suggest that you get educated, you find the style and the format that you like, and you stick to that and you follow it all the way through to success. Because I've yet to meet a person that has been obsessed and fixated on an outcome and has done everything that they can and put all the energy to that one outcome, and they're willing to do what they have to do when they have to do it, no questions asked, that hasn't achieved the thing that they're after. I've not met one person in history in all my life that has been obsessed in something and has done everything in their power to achieve it that hasn't gotten there.
It's
And
almost like that think and grow rich
yeah,
philosophy. Visualize it, put it out in the
yeah.
universe.
But the thing is, I've never met anybody that has followed that to a T and hasn't achieved the thing that they wanted to achieve.
I agree.
So it's simple, right? But the way why it's not easy, it's simple. Why is it not easy? Well,
Discipline.
you gotta have some discipline.
Hmm.
You gotta have focus. It's like the horses have the blinders, right?
Yep.
And so the horses have the blinders because if they didn't have the blinders in the race, they'd be looking this way, going that way, and they'd be going around in circles. And that's what people do. They spin around in circles. They'll watch this YouTube video. Oh, I like this guy. I'm going to follow this guy. Imagine, for example, you're listening and reading books and watching podcasts on Grant Cardone, for example, and then you're listening and reading books and watching podcasts on Dave Ramsey. Two conflicting philosophies that if you follow any of these guys, you will probably have success. But if you do it at the same time, you will be very confused,
Yeah.
right? And so this is a big part of what I share with people, right? It's like, look, you know, follow a strategy and follow it to the end.
Hmm. I love that. And it for like, what would you say for somebody to help build the discipline, help build the that mindset of just staying focused and doing the work? Because I think that's probably the biggest struggle for most even entrepreneurs in general. Do you have any kind of
Yeah,
tips
so
or
make sure that you take inventory of the people around you.
I love it.
People's lives are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer groups.
There's a great quote. It's show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I love that.
That's it. That's it. And your friends will confuse you more than you've ever been confused. You have a great idea, and then someone will just put a pin in your idea. And so you need to surround yourself around good quality people. The average of the five people you spend the most time
Yep.
with. Find a tribe that is following one thing in one philosophy and stick with it and don't come out for air until you are successful. Be so obsessed with achieving it that you're not going to come out for air until you completed it or you've
I love
achieved the
that.
success that you're looking for. And that's what in this day and age that will pay dividends. That will pay you more than trying to do Shopify, trying to do Bitcoin, try to have a side hustle, do a little bit of real estate, doing a little bit of everything. That's not going to pay you.
Hmm. So what would you say someone wants to go all in and they want to build real estate as a business? Systems would you recommend for them to start growing first? Would you say maybe find your team first and then go from there? Would it be?
Well, first of all, you got to find your strategy.
Hmm.
Because real estate is
Love
there's
it.
so many different strategies. Do you want to do
Flip, wholesale,
flipping,
family,
wholesale,
commercial.
like Airbnb? Are you wanting to do arbitrage? Are you wanting to do like SDUs, ADUs, passive private lending, RSP lending? I mean, I there's like so many things, so many different ways that you can go, right?
Hmm.
If you're asking me specifically, it's got to be multifamily. For me, there's only one real asset class that can give you generational wealth, ultimate freedom, and lifestyle, right? Because I'm a very lifestyle oriented person, and so everything I do needs to be needs to be in alignment with my lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of the other strategies, they require a lot of time and effort, and they're great. And I would say if anybody focuses on anything, they will be successful.
Yeah.
Problem is, this guy's got his toes in Airbnb. He's doing wholesaling. Then he's doing arbitrage, and he's flipping over here. Like, you're doing too many things. Nothing will be done
Yeah.
right. And, and so I chose multifamily. And in multifamily, you have multiple different things that you can do with the multifamily. So, for example, buy and hold, value add, land development, uh, and construction of multifamilies, all these things you can do within multifamily, and that's a space that I've chosen, right? So you
Mhm.
can still have diversity within one asset class. And my primarily, I am building apartment buildings. I am I am buying apartment buildings,
Mhm.
existing apartment buildings and holding them, and then I'm buying existing apartment buildings and creating forced appreciation. So we increase the value of these assets. That's kind of what my MO, and they're larger commercial apartment buildings. And so that's the asset class that I've chosen,
Mhm.
right? So first, you got to choose your asset class. Number two, you got to have a buy box, so number one, choose what you want to do, have a buy box, get the education around what you're doing, and then start developing your team, right? Because if you can build a team of a mortgage broker, but if you don't have a buy box, if you don't know what you're doing,
Yep.
then none of these people are going to be able to help you, right? So realtor, mortgage broker, all of the team, I think, comes after your decision and your education.
I love it. I think I just saw on social media you guys are putting tenants on. You guys just finished one, eh?
Yeah, we just
Mhm.
finished an apartment building, uh, 52 units. So we're
Love it.
so we're going to be building about 1,000 units in northeastern Ontario,
Love it.
and we're going to be using the MLI Select program.
Nice.
And it's a lot of fun. I never thought I would be a builder as a kid. I mean, I did like Legos. I'm not too handy, and so if I can do it, anybody can do it. And we have an event coming up. I'm not sure when this podcast is going to air, but we have an event coming up this weekend
We'll
where,
post it right away.
yeah. So as my career is evolving,
Mhm.
I'm bringing everything that I'm learning and I'm doing to my boot camps. So maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I wasn't too familiar with land development. And
Mhm.
now that I've been doing it for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
uh, I'm really well versed and educated because I've done it, and I've gone through it, and I've gone through multiple deals, exited multiple deals. And so that's what I bring to the table when someone would come to one of my 3-day events, which they can go to wealthgenius.ai/events, click on it, you get our whole Eventbrite schedule, and you can just choose one of the events that are coming near you. But I go deep on multifamily, land development, and raising capital.
Yeah, I remember some of that. I think the la if I don't want to get it wrong, but I think yours is 2 years ago. You're saying start at least 16 units, right? That's what makes the most sense. That's when you can hire kind of a property manager,
Caretaker, yes.
on-site caretaker if
Good
you have
memory.
to. It's been a while, so I apologize if I kind of butchered that. But do you still recommend that's where people should start off? Maybe do the same thing, get the education,
Uh,
buy box, but that
yeah.
should be in the buy box at least 16 units?
I I
Or a
I
single
prefer
family
16. I,
duplex.
I I prefer 16 units because that's the first time you can actually legitimately justify a caretaker on site. And that caretaker on site is kind of the key for me in my system,
Hmm.
where we can manage the caretaker, and so we can invest. Like, if we have if all our properties have a caretaker on site, that means that we can we can buy properties all across Canada and the US, as long as we have a caretaker on site, then we manage the caretaker, right? So
Love
to
it.
us, that's part of our system. But when someone is getting started, the 16 unit, just the fact that we're saying 16 unit could limit people and prevent them from even starting in the first place.
That's true. They are very hard to find.
So I would say start.
Love it.
The key thing is start. And sometimes, especially now where we're going through this market cycle, for the very first time, we're looking at some duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes that actually pencil out.
Hmm.
And where we are right now, in terms of inventory and in the market, there's going to be some really great opportunities. And so I wouldn't be so fixated on the property or how many units. I would be more attached to the numbers. As long as the numbers work, if you can make the numbers work, that's what I would, if someone's getting started, don't get attached to, oh no, it's got to be a tenplex or it's got to be it should be at least three, I would say.
Yep.
I mean, three just makes two, three is better than two and two is better than one.
I
But as long as the numbers work, I would say,
love
and
it.
and do things that are really within your own abilities, and you can grow and stretch a little bit. And as long as like the next deal is bigger than the current deal, then you continue growing, and eventually you'll be buying 100 units, 200 units, like if it was buying a duplex.
I love it. And do you recommend self-manage when if there's a smaller,
Never.
like a two, three? What's that?
Maybe I guess when you're starting out,
Just to kind of learn, like
uh,
almost average
yeah,
that
it
board
doesn't
out
it doesn't hurt
philosophy.
to figure things out and know how much things cost, how long things take, but you want to get out of that as fast as possible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and when we're talking
Especially
about
in Ontario.
yeah, when we're talking about these deals should pencil out, they should pencil out with property management in place, even if you are doing self-management.
Awesome. I'm just going to ask you the final question, and you kind of touched it in different ways throughout this podcast, but if you had to rebuild yourself and your wealth up today, starting from zero, what would you do?
So this is a question that it's been asked of me many times, and I always go back to the same answer, right? People's lives are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer groups. Your environment is 100 times more powerful than your willpower.
I agree.
And so no matter how bad you want to do something, or no matter how good you think you are, without the right environment and the right people around you, it's going to be extremely difficult. So if you drop me in the middle of nowhere
Hmm.
and I had to start over, I would start with building connections and relationships with people that have the things that I don't have. And so that's exactly where I would start. It's like who are the people that are going to inspire me, take me to the next level? And this is now you're asking me a question based on my knowledge. I know that if you strip me away from everything, you drop me in the middle of Cincinnati or Cleveland or any other city in the world, because I have the real estate knowledge and education already,
Hmm.
I would go I would go directly to the networks. I would go to the circles. What are the circles that I can belong to that are going to already put me in the environment for me to be successful, provided that I have this knowledge. Now, if you took away the knowledge, strip away the knowledge, then the first thing that I would do is get the knowledge.
I love it. That was such a great answer. If someone resonates with the content, what I'm sure there's going to be many people that do, where would they find your education? I know you talked about the wealthgenius.ai.
Yeah,
Where
you
would they
can
find all your
find me
stuff?
there. Google me. I'm very Googleable. I would say, at the very least, check out my podcast,
Yeah.
Wealth News Podcast. We got a lot of great content there, and or at the very least, come hang out with me at one of my events.
I love it, Alfonso. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, my man. Good. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Join us for our 10th and biggest Expand Investor Conference. And this year, this November, we are doing it in Calgary, Alberta. Yeah! And it's going to be a big one. And I want you to go and get your tickets right away. Our Expand Investor Conference, our 10th edition of our Expand Investor Conference is happening in Alberta. Get your tickets right away.